Bachar, Hosh, Umadit, and welcome to this Thursday stream of Las Plumas de Simur. My name is Plumas, and I'm going to be your host, your reader, and your storyteller for the session today. How are you, Chahabar Chitori? What's the word? Hummingbird. I hope everything is going perfectly, and today was a little bit of a task getting to the live stream because I am very, very tired. I'm completely destroyed, if I need to be completely honest with you. I'm very tired. It's been a time of a lot of stress at work, because this is not something that people sometimes wonder is if this is my daily job, is it like my main job? No, this is just my way of passing my time. But actually I do have a regular job, like 9 to 5. I've studied part and magnificently sang a couple of decades ago, so it's been a hard time at work. A lot of it's in a good sense, like a very intense work, which I enjoy pretty much, but that makes me feel very tired at the end of the day. And I was very close of not making the stream, but thankfully someone at my house helped me feel better about myself and said, look, you are gonna do your favorite thing, which is reading the Book of Kings, and you're gonna share it with your Bachar and with a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, with my people, the genuine people that enjoy listening to you reading the stories. Hello, Bizir, how are you? Oh my goodness, 31 months in a row being subscribed to the channel and being just basically the spine of this project, if not of the whole Divulgación Española itself, as a whole. How are you? I'm always trying to do my best. And I'm wearing one of my best t-shirts for the occasion. Because in here we love one thing, and that is Evangelion and tea. And yes, I do have my tea here in one of my favorite mugs, which I can't show you. Yeah, there you go. Here is from one of my favorite places in the entire surface of Earth, which is Café Condesa at Antigua, Guatemala. Yes, in Guatemala, the country. Just because. Not a souvenir. I mean, it is a souvenir. I bought it, but I bought it there. And since the weather is getting better and better, if you see something yellow behind Venom's eyes or teeth, it's because it's limon season. I mean, in my house, every season is lemon season, but basically that means I start putting a slice of lemon in my water. Abe Laymoon. I don't think Nefer is here, but if she is, let's tell them. Hello, so happy, how are you? So I was saying I am a little bit tired, so I might not be reading as long as I usually do, but it's good coming here, because what we have today is such a bumpy ride, and the charger just cannot miss this one, because I said when we started this narrative arc, I already warned you that it was going to be a tricky one, and pretty much a roller coaster of emotions with a lot of ups and downs. And this is not as light-hearted as my laugh could give away. No, don't be to be fooled by my laugh. I honestly don't think, when I was reading this part in Spanish, I was wondering myself why the hell I was reading so much. Like I was not reading. My brain cannot work today. Dyslexia. Hey, high five to myself. Boom. Because I am dyslexic, and yet I am here. Just, a very tired doctor trying her best. And I was wondering why on earth I was reading. My brain. It's, when your brain stucks in a cycle and you cannot break it. You need to let it rest, let it calm down, and then later come back to it. So let me try to rephrase this. I was questioning what the reason for my laugh could be, because it was constant. Page after page, I couldn't stop laughing. And I told my Spanish Bachar, I don't know why I'm laughing, because I know, like for a fact, that this is not funny at all. Yet there I was, laughing. And I need to share this part with you, because I'm already insistent at this, but the Shāh-nāmeh has many things, beautiful and heartbreaking equally. So I want you to learn this part this week. because my schedule has really been a little bit like whoop because of work again. But yeah, we're gonna try and have fun with what we have in here. And I wanted to tell you something else. What was that? Oh, thank you. I don't need I don't want a promotion, but that's very kind of you for offering freely. What was it I wanted to say? Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you that the new year is just around the corner, which is something that makes me super happy because Nowruz is one of my favorite times of the year, if not my favorite, because I also really enjoy Shab Yalda. But I had to destroy my Nowruz table because if you've been here for more than one new year, you know this already, but commonly one of the elements that you can place in a Nowruz table is a book. People choose from a variety of it. Divan of poetry is normally the favorite and the most picked, but I always put the Book of Kings, and I put the English version because my Persian Book of Kings is not physical. I have it digital, so I kind of put my laptop on my Nowruz table. If you are, maybe, I don't think you are, but if by any chance this is the year that you encourage yourself and dared to put up a Nowruz table, I would love to see it. Or if this is something that you do regularly, please send me a picture on my email, drop it on Discord, to just keep in touch, just get in contact with me, because I would love to see it. Seeing Nowruz tables is a favorite hobby of mine. Anyway, now we are starting the reading, the proper thing that is. And what do? I wonder. Do I give you a heads up, or do we just continue? You know what? I think I'm going to let you be surprised and horrified and entertained and amused. Definitely. Amused is a word to use. Anywho, let's start. And to do a little bit of a recap, we have our boy. Our boy is not Rostam. Our boy for this narrative arc is going to be Sohrab. If you want to learn a little bit deeper and better what happened, I do strongly recommend you to pop by the YouTube channel of this project and listen to the other parts of the Shāh-nāmeh. But basically, Rostam had a child with a Turanian princess named Tahmineh, which we adore. And we adore her. Not exactly fond of the kid. Every time I read the Shāh-nāmeh, I want to believe that I'll grow fond of him. And every time I am catastrophically wrong, misled by my own optimism. Yet here we are. Maybe we'll grow fond of him over time. And this kid's name is Sohrab. The thing is, Rostam acknowledges he has a son, but he doesn't know his name. Why? Don't ask me questions. I'm not the writer of this book. And Sohrab, on the other hand, he does know his father is the great warrior Rostam, yet he has never seen him. He doesn't have a picture of his dad. Sohrab, when he realized, kind of like when sense, I was going to say when sense entered his brain, but that never happened, definitely. So Sohrab one day had the happy idea that only him and his father were worthy enough of wearing the crown of both Iran and Turan. So he came to the conclusion that he had to take the throne of Iran from its current king of kings, which is Kaikavus, and then place the crown on the head of his father Rostam. So his father would be the king of kings. And then he would come back to Turan, kill Afrasiab, Turan's current leader, and then place the crown of Turan on his own head. So it would be father and son ruling over the entirety of the known world. Seamless plan, according to him. There's no holes on the plot, like definitely nothing could possibly go wrong. And that's what he does. He musters an army and marches towards Iran. And Afrasiab he sees the opportunity here, and instead of charging the kid with chains and have it like bowed down before him and punish him, he sends two people to accompany him. He sends what are his names? I need to. It is Bahram, I believe. Yeah, no, Bahram and Human. These are two of Afraziab's generals, and he sends them to accompany Sohrab, apparently in like a very good intention, but he has a secret plan to this. He tells his generals what's potentially going to happen is that Sohrab and Rostam, who don't know each other, are gonna fight. And Rostam is mighty and powerful, but Sohrab is much younger and has much more energy. Thus, Sohrab is gonna end up killing Rostam, which is very good for us. Then, when the kid is tired from the fight, you two are gonna finish him, and then we are gonna march upon Iran and get once and for all the throne of the King of Kings. For us, for the Turanians, because they want to restore the vengeance cycle and something, and I'm not gonna get into that in detail because that would be going back too further. But again, if you want to learn what happened previously, I do recommend you to check the YouTube playlist with all the readings of the Shāh-nāmeh. So, of course, when an army of, how many were they? I think it was, when an army of 12,000 warriors marches towards your front door, you notice, especially since, do you remember Gorda Farid and his father? So Gorda Farid and Gazdaham, her father, had sent a message to Kai Kavuz. They had retreat in the middle of the night, and actually they made, well, not they, Gorda Farid did. She made Sohrab look like a positive foe, which is something we like and condole. And they run away in order to prevent the Iranians of the army that was marching to conquer them. And this is the point where we're going to start. When Kai Kavuz received Gazdaham's message, he was deeply troubled. He summoned his chieftains and put the matter before them. After he had read the letter to his warrior lords, and here he mentions a lot of people that for now are not important, we're going to remember two of them. One of them is Tus, and the other one, and a personal favorite of mine, is Give. I'm going to tell you about Give in a minute. Kavuz, when he finished reading the letter, he said, according to Gazdaham, this is going to be lengthy business. His letter has put all the thoughts from my mind. Now, what should we do to remedy this situation? And who is there in Iran who can stand up to this new warrior? Because they do fear Sohrab. They're fearing him like good. And all agreed that Give should go to Zabul and tell Rostam of the danger threatening Iran and the Iranian throne. Kavuz wrote to Rostam praising his prowess and appealing to him to come to the aid of the throne. Then he said to Give, gallop as quickly as a wind-borne smoke and take this letter to Rostam. Do not delay in Zabul. Important. If you arrive at night, set off on the return journey the next morning. This is important. Do not stay the night. Tell Rostam that matters are urgent. And please, Bachar, remember this word, highlighting it with sparkles and butterflies. Urgent. Important. Okay? So, who's Give? Do you remember the latest cabusada that Kai Kavuz perpetrated? Do you remember that he had himself flown across the sky in a throne pulled by eagles? So Give is the person that has, Give is a person that went to help him down the mountain where he was stuck, and basically Give is the person that has put up with the most when it comes to putting up with Kaikavus's nonsense. I was going to say a bad word, not bad word. Nonsense is a good one. Okay, so Give is tired of Kaikavus. Give is upset, and he has a very strong opinion on his King of Kings. Yet Give took the letter and travelled quickly to Zabol without resting along the way. Rostam came out with a contingent of his nobles to welcome him, and Give and Rostam's group dismounted together, and Rostam questioned him closely about the king and the events in Iran. After they had returned to Rostam's palace and rested a while, Give repeated what he had heard, handed over the letter, and gave what news he could of Sohrab. When Rostam had listened to him and read the letter, he laughed. But do not imagine him laughing in disbelief. It's much more that he is comically and positively surprised of everything Give is telling him. He laughed aloud and said in astonishment, and I'm gonna try to to get into the role, because if we have guessed something, is that Rostam and Gaston from Beauty and the Beast are basically the same person. So imagine them, fist to the hip, chest out, deep voice, and one of these profound laughs, like they sound so deep, as when you have a cough, almost when you are like a cold and your voice gets lower. So his laugh to me in my head is just like oh, something like that. Very very scandalous and loud. So Rostam, again, I'm gonna try hand to the hip, laughed in astonishment and said, "Ha! So it seems that a second son is loose in the world. This would be no surprise if he were Iranian, but from the Turanians, it's unprecedented. I myself have a son over there by the princess of Samangan, but he's still a boy and doesn't yet realize that war is the way to glory. This would be..." I'm getting so excited that I am reading the wrong line. So, I myself have a son over there. Oh, do you, Rostam? Do you, Azizam? I sent his mother gold and jewels, and she sent me back an answer saying that he'd soon be a tall young fellow. His mouth still smells of mother's milk, but he drinks wine now, and no doubt he'll be a fighter soon enough. Now, you and I should rest for a day and moisten our dry lips with wine. Then we can make our way to the king and lead Iran's warriors out to war. It's possible that fortune's turned against us, but if not, this campaign will not prove difficult. When the sea's wave inundate the land, the fiercest fire won't stay alive for long. Fire! And when this young warrior sees my banner, his heart will know his revels are all ended. He won't be in such a hurry to fight anymore. This is not something we should worry ourselves about. Okay, so little digression. We have a Telegram channel that you can join if you want. And sometimes I like asking things there, because polls are my favorite thing. And I ask you, who was thicker in the head? And the options were Rostam, Kaikavus, and Sohrab. I think there's pretty solid arguments for someone to choose any of the three. But this is the kind of thickness I want to highlight from Rostam. Oh, a kid named Sohrab, you said? Oh, from Turan, magnificent warrior, is he? So you know what? What a coincidence. I have a kid over there whose name I never dared to ask or bothered because, I am like... Names are not important in the Shāh-nāmeh, apparently. So it is, as such, Like, yeah, I have a kid there. So who's this kid again you talking about? Is this for real? Is this for real? Anyway, so as you see, Rostam is he's not as impressed about a new warrior. In fact, if anything, if we know Rostam the slightest, Connected Doors is not Rostam's favorite game, definitely not. Like, he would be such a poor detective, such a bad investigator, I reckon. So, yeah, if we know anything about Rostam, is that instead of getting angry or scared, he gets his spirit gets high when the approach of an enemy that might pose a challenge for him comes near. It's just when he detects the presence of a potential opponent worthy of him and his abilities, he's just the happiest person in the world, like a puppy with a new toy. So, yeah. And so that's what they do. They sat to their wine and, forgetting all about the king, passed the night in idle chatter. The next morning, and I swear I'm not making this up, Rostam woke up with a hangover and called out again for wine. This day too was passed in drinking, and no one thought about setting out on the journey to Kaikavus, because who cares? And once again on the third day, Rostam ignored the king's summons and had wine brought. So they spent 3 days drinking in a row. On the fourth day, Giv, who is one of the few people in the Shāh-nāmeh who gather the elements to compose common sense, and possibly after drowning himself in a bucket of ice water, he bestirred himself and said, I just can't imagine Giv either pouring the bucket on top of itself, letting the ice sharp bite of the water hit his muscles. We're like, bruh. And remember when I told you that Giv is a little bit fed up with Kaikavus' shenanigans? Here's an example, just like a taste of it. Giv said to Rostam, Kavus is a headstrong man and not at all intelligent. He is very upset about this business and he can neither eat nor sleep properly. If we stay much longer here in Zabolistan, he will be extremely angry. Rostam, nevertheless, replied, Don't worry about it, Dad. There's not a man alive who can meddle with me. And yeah, I am imagining him banging his chest like a proper gorilla. Salam, June, Chintori. Oh, we've missed you too. Oh, it's always such a good thing when my peeps come in here. This is my god kid. And but still, Rostam gave orders that Rasha be saddled and that the ticket for the pater be sounded. And for the great Danny Marino, oh, well, of course, anytime. Cheers to you. And yes, Zabol's knights heard the trumpets, and armed and helmeted, they gathered about their leader. And finally, they set up. They set off in the distance to be united and reunited with Kaikavus, who is not a happy bunny, if you know what I mean. They arrived at the king's court in high spirits and ready to serve the king. But, when they bowed before the king, he at first made them no answer. He's given them the silent treatment because he is beyond upset. And then, addressing Giv, he burst out in fury. Who is this Rostam that he should ignore me? That he should flout my orders this way? Take him and string him up alive on the gallows and never mention his name to me. again. Dramatic much. Give was horrified at Kavus's words and remonstrated. My lord, you would treat Rostam this way? And this is public, like this is not in private. No. This is like the open audience. Everyone is staring at them. The courtiers, the servants, the attendees. They are looking like in a tennis court. You know how people follow the ball? This is what's happening at the minute at the King of Kings audience hall. The courtiers are, containing the air at their lungs and staring at Give and then staring at Kai Kavus, waiting for what's going to happen. And as they stare, struck dumb, Kavus then roared to Tus. Do you remember Tus? I mentioned him, and he happens to be Giv's best friend. And he ignores completely Give and addresses Tus. He says, take both of them and hang them both. Now that escalated quickly. And whitely as a fire that burns dry reeds, he sprung up from his throne. Tus doesn't want to do this because he knows this is going to end up in a tragedy, but he has to follow the King of Kings' orders. So he grabs Rostam by the arm to lead him from Kavus's presence, not in an angry manner, not at all, like kind of indicating him, just escorting him to the exit. And like, okay, time to go. And the warriors there, and the courtiers, basically everyone, watched in wonder. But Rostam too burst out in fury and addressed the king. Smother your rage. Each act of yours is more contemptible than every act before. You are not fit to be king. It's Sohrab you should hang alive, but you're unable to. Whoa. Mijo, te calmas. Like, whoa, the tone. Tus he sent sprawling with a single blow against the wall. Psh! And Tus rolls onto the wall and smashes his head against it. He's not dead. He's just deeply hurt, both physically and emotionally. Then Rostam strode toward the door as if to go, but turned back in his rage and said, I am the crown bestower, the renowned Rostam. When I am angry, who is this Kai Kavus? Who dares threatened me? And who is Tus? My helmet is my crown, Raj is my throne. This is a line I personally love. And I am slave to none but God alone. If Sohrab should attack, who will survive? No child or warrior will be left alive in all Iran. Too late and desperately, you'll seek for some escape or remedy. This is your land when you reside and reign. Henceforth, you'll not see Rostam here ever again. And he leaves. So Rostam and Kai Kavus, they just broke up. They had the most incredible fight in the history of the fights and the dramatic fights, because these two, they do enjoy a lot of drama. They are dramatic peeps. And Rostam just stomps out. Who is Tus? Tus is this Trumfa sticking in the wall. Oh my god, yeah. He is the gotele in the wall. Is this kind of a fly that you smushed against the wall? That one? And Rostam just stomps out. Leaves, according to him, forever. The courtiers were deeply alarmed since they regarded Rostam as a shepherd and themselves as his flock. And they turned to another warrior whose name is Gudars. And let me see if I can... Oh yeah, actually, Gudars is the father of Gif. And said to him, "You must heal this breach. The king will listen to no one but you. Go to this crazy monarch and speak to him mildly and at length. And with luck, we'll be able to restore our fortunes again." So you see that they all think that Kaikavus is a little bit slow and hope for his king and trust his king. That is not something that these people have, at least for now. And then Gudars went to Kavuz and reminded him of Rostam's past service and of the threat that Sohrab was to Iran. And when he had heard him out, Kavuz repented from his anger. Because Gudars has that effect. He's a lovely character. He has this capacity of making people reconsider and, think with a cold mind instead of like in the heat of the moment. And Kaikavuz said to Gudars, "Your words are just, and nothing becomes an old man's lips like wisdom. A king should be wise and cautious. You are neither of those, Kaikavuz Azizam. And anger and impetuous behavior bring no good to anyone. Go to Rostam and remind him of our former friendship. Make him forget my outburst." So you see everything's happening like super quick. We don't have time to lose. And Gudars and the army's chieftains went in search of Rostam, and finally they saw the dust raised by Rakhsh and caught up with him. They praised the hero and then said, again, this is Gudars. Salam Nefer, Chatori, Chakhawar. Hello everyone. Yes, you just made it when we are in the part that Kaikavuz is trying to gain Rostam back. They are trying to make amends. And then Gudars, and again, this is the word of Gudars, which is one of Kaikavuz's chieftains. So here's what he thinks about his King of Kings. You know that Kavuz is a brainless fool. Perfect. You know Kaikavuz is a brainless foe, that he is subject to these outbursts of temper, that he erupts in rage and is immediately sorry and swears to mend his ways. If you are furious with the king, the people of Iran are not at fault. Already he regrets his rage and bites the back of his hand in repentance. Rostam, however, he's proud. He is a proud one, and he replies, "I have no need for Kaikavuz. My saddle is my throne, and my helmet is my crown. These stout armors, my robes of state, and my heart is prepared for death. Why should I fear Kavuz's rage? He is no more to me than a fistful of dirt." Strong sentence here, Rostam. "My mind is weary of all this. My heart is full, and I fear no one but God himself." Because Rostam is quite a pious man. I don't mean this in a scorny way. He is a very pious man. And Gudars still replies, "Iran and its chieftains and the army will see this in another way. They will say that the great hero was afraid of the Turanians and that he sneaked away in fear. They will say that if Rostam has fled, we should all flee. I saw the court in an uproar over Kaikavuz's rage, but I also saw the stir that Sohrab has created. Don't turn your back on the king of Iran. Your name's renowned throughout the world. Don't dim its luster by this fight. And consider, the army is hard pressed. This is no time to abandon the throne of the crown." And Rostam stared at Gudars, as improperly struck by his words, and said, Wow. If there's any fear in my heart, I tear it from me now. Shamefaced, he rode back to the king's court, and when he entered, the king stood and asked his forgiveness for what had passed between them, saying, I want you to imagine this picture this in a very grandiose, melodramatic, completely over-the-top scene. And he said, impetuous rage is part of my nature. We have to live as God has fashioned us, which in a personal take of this, it is something I dislike profoundly, because I am as I am is something I hate it when people say that, oh, I'm sorry, it's just the way I am. Well, maybe the way you are is wrong and harmful for the people around you. So what about changing your ways and your manners? Especially as is the man, if you are the bloody king of kings, you are to set an example to the rest of the people. Anyway, Kaikavus continues his forgiveness monologue, and he says, this new and unexpected enemy had made my heart grow faint as the new moon. I looked to you for help, and when you delayed your coming, I became angry. But seeing you affronted my words, I regretted what I had said. And then Rostam, also in a very over-the-top, over-dramatic and completely unnecessary way, replies, the world is yours. We are all your subjects. I have come to hear your orders. And Kaikavus said, tonight we feast, tomorrow we fight. Shab, Lotus, Nefer Lotus, hear me out in here. It would be Shab, Bazam Kardim Forda, Razam Kardim. Because I know, like in here, we have a very beautiful construction in Persian, which is Bazam and Razam, which means the feast and the fight. And this is something that the Mirror of Princess, if you don't know what the Mirror of Princess are, they are these books, a sort of a collection of sayings and advices and instructions for younger princes in order to become the best version of themselves. And in the Mirror of Princess books, they in Iran, I mean, you have this repetition, this kind of mantra saying that they should master, I'm trying to translate my memory, they should master the Bazam and the Razam. They should be excellent. My son screamed something I couldn't hear properly. What was it? Is it if we say tonight we feast, tomorrow we fight? Would it be Shab Bazam Kardim Farda Razam Kardim? Because I don't know how feasting and fighting construct as verbs. I'm guessing it would be Bazam Kardan and then Razam Kardam. But basically that's it. You should master the feast and the fight. The Bazam and the Razam. Which, by the way, was the name of a beautiful, beautiful exhibition that took place at the Metropolitan Museum of Art 10 years ago? 13 years ago? Less? More? I don't know. I don't remember, but I used that on like back in the day when the world was new. When I still use Facebook, I made a post about it, about the Bazam and the Razam. So yeah, they entertained by musicians and served by pale young slaves. Boys, by the way, if you were wondering. The two of them sat to their wine and drank till half the night had passed. Because that's the way. This is the way. I love the Mandalorian. At dawn the next day, the king ordered Give and Tus, who we imagine someone had taken out from the wall, because if not, Tus is still a print, still stuck at the wall. And the poem doesn't specify it, but for the sake of my mental health, I am going to assume that at some point Rostam apologized for his physical abuse towards Tus. And Tus, being the lovely being he is, it just, like, they shook it off, they hug it off, and they're like, everything's good, everything's fine. So Give and Tus, they prepare the army. Drums were bound on elephants, the treasury doors were open, and war supplies were handed out. 100,000 warriors gathered and the air was darkened by their dust. Stage by stage, they marched till nightfall. Nightfall, in black men and chains. Any blind guardian fans in here? Please manifest. They marched till nightfall, and their glittering weapons shone like points of fire seen through a dark curtain. Oh, beautiful. So day by day, they went on until at last they reached the fortress gates. Do you remember? One here. Yeah, I knew. Oh, God. Yeah. You're simply the best. And I know you're also a fan of Tina Turner, which makes you double the best. So, yes, that's my Mary. How are you holding up? Are you... Because, all right, allow me a digression. As the army marches towards the fortress, allow me a digression here. I am very much aware that many of you listening to me live right now are not native English speakers. I know you come here perhaps to practice your English, perhaps to just enjoy the company, but I want to tell you that this is something I value a lot, because even if this is not your mother tongue, or perhaps not a language that you are fluent at, you still come. And that is, you don't have a reason for doing that. You could stay, stick to the Spanish streams and stay at home doing something else, but yet you choose to come see me reading the Book of Kings, talking about Girovt or the Fortress of Bam or whatever shenanigans I am up to. And you still do, week after week, because, again, even if you don't speak, I know, because my setup tells me who's here. And I value that a lot, and I appreciate that. It actually melts my heart a little bit. It's just like, oh, it gives me this warm, cozy feeling inside. And I just wanted to tell you. So thank you for that. I'm very grateful, very, very grateful for your company. Thank you for choosing to stick with us here, even though English can be a difficult language to master, like any other language in the world. So thank you. So, they get to the White Fortress where Turanians, the Turanians had captured the fortress and they had set up camp inside. And then the Iranian army gets there. A shout from the lookouts told Sohrab that the enemy's army had come. Sohrab went up onto the city walls and then summoned Human, the general from Afrasiab. When Human saw the mighty force opposing them, he gasped and his head quailed. Like, Sohrab told him to be of good cheer. Sohrab, he is his father's son. Like 2 birds of a feather, believe me. And Sohrab said, in all this limitless army, you'll not see one warrior who will be willing to face me in combat. No, not if the sun and moon themselves came down to aid him. There's a great deal of armor here and many men, but I know none among them who's a warrior to reckon with. It's insoportable. He is as petulant and as arrogant as his father. He's just a pain. Shut up. How old are you? You're supposed to be 17, but you've not been alive for 17 years, like 2 years tops. Shut the front door. And he continues. He doesn't shut up. He continues. And now, in Afrasiab's name, I shall make this plain a sea of blood. Again, he's as bloodthirsty as his father is. Rostam would be so proud if only he knew who you are. Cheerful and fearless, Sohrab descended from the walls. I'm just picturing Homan still, grabbing his sword, tightening the grip, staring, his eyes lost in the immensity of the Iranian army, and then thinking, oh my God, we're all gonna die here. But Sohrab's okay. And for their part, the Iranian warriors pitched camp, and so vast was the number of tents and pavilions that the plain and surrounding foothills disappeared from view. The sun withdrew from the world, and dark night spread her troops across the plain. Eager to observe the enemy, because Rostam just cannot wait to fight, Rostam came before Kaikavus, and he said, "Let me go there, unarmed, to see just who this new young hero is, and to see what chieftains are accompanying him." And Kavus replies, "You are the man for such an undertaking. Take care, and may you return safely." So then Rostam disguised himself as a Turanian and made his way quickly to the fortress. As he drew near, he could hear the sound of drunken revelry from the Turanians within. He slipped into the fortress as a lion stalks white deer. Then he saw Sohrab seated on a throne and presiding over the festivities. On one side of him sat Zende Razam, and on the other, were the warriors Human and Barman, tall as a cypress, of mighty limb and mammoth-chested. Sohrab seemed to feel the throne. He was surrounded by 100 Turanian youths, as haughty as young lions, and 50 servants stood before him. In turn, all praised their hero's strength and stature and sword and seal, while Rostam watched the scene from afar, hiding within the lines of the Turanians. Then Zende Razam was an experienced warrior already. This is a proper, not like Sohrab, this is a proper adult. He left the gathering on some errand and saw a warrior, cypress tall, he did not recognize. He came over to Rostam and said, "Who are you? Come into the light so I can see your face." And with one swift blow from his fist, Rostam struck out at Zende Razam's neck, and the champion gave up the ghost there, and then he lay motionless on the ground, never returning to the feast. Zende Razam è morto. He kicked the bucket. Rostam made him kick the bucket. Rostam unalived a person with one fist to the neck. How brutally must he have done this in order to literally break a person's neck and killing them? He's an animal. I don't like him. Okay, yes, I will. Thank you, Nefer. Because after this, I need some water. By the way, I said this before, but you were not here, so I want to tell you. Because Bacha, I'm just trying to impress Nefer Lotus with my non-existent Persian speaking skills. This is Abe Laymun, because when Nowruz comes near, I start making Abe Laymun. I don't like Abegol, forgive me, I'm not that an Iranian, but I like Abe Laymun. And yes, Laymun is lemon in Persian. Isn't that cute? So, time passes and people realize that Zende Razam is missing. He's not coming back. And after a while, Sohrab noticed his absence and asked after him. Well, I agree. I like it too. Your Persian skills are good. Aziz, I'm thinking you're very sweet. But we both know that's a lie. I could not hold up a conversation with you like anytime. Retainers went out and saw him lying prone in the dirt. Neither banquets nor battles would concern him. Again, they returned, wailing and weeping, and told Sohrab that Sende Razm's day of feasting and fighting were over. Here, you see in here, it just repeat again. Banquets and battle, feasting and fighting, Bazm, Varazm, Bazm or Razm, if you want to be proper Iranian, and you, instead of saying Va, you say O. Because rules are for weak people. So yeah, Bazm or Razm. When Sohrab heard this, he sprang up and hurried to where the warrior lay. And the musicians and servants with tapers followed after him. And just imagine like 50 people running after Sohrab, because they said that 100 Turkish youth and 50 servants. Like all these people running behind him, which must be uncomfortable. Sohrab stared in astonishment, then called his chieftains to him and said, "Tonight we must not rest but sharpen our spears for battle. A wolf has attacked our flock, eluding the shepherd and his dog. But with God's aid, when I ride out and loose my lariat from the saddle, I will be revenge on these Iranian warriors for the death of Zende Razm." And with this, he returned to the feast. He is properly angry. He definitely is angry, like terribly. For his part, Rostam slipped back to the Iranian lines where Giv waited on watch. Rostam told Giv of how he had killed one of the enemy, and I'm imagining him being like, "Haha, lol, I did this." And then he went to Kaikavud and gave him news on Sohrab, saying that the new hero had no equal in either Turan or Iran, and that he was the image of Rostam's own grandfather, Sam. And still, Rostam doesn't put two and two together. Can you imagine actually being like, "Dude, there's a boy in there that is just the living image of my grandfather. Isn't that a coincidence?" And then going about with, "Oh, and you know what? I killed one of them with one single blow." Es que es tontísimo. Like, he is dumb. Rostam is... I'm really sorry, but Rostam is an idiot. Proof. And I'm just saying it because I'm not saying this just because I don't like him. I'm showing it to you. Es tontísimo. En fin. So yeah, they celebrate and they feast and whatever. When the sun had flung its news into the sky and rays of light shot throughout the Empyrean, Sohrab armed himself and went up onto a tower on the city walls. From there, he could see the Iranian forces spread out below. He summoned Hejir. Do you remember Hejir? Hejir was captured by Sohrab when he was trying to siege the White Fortress. So Hejir is an Iranian. And after promising him wealth if he was truthful and prison if he was not, he said, "I want to ask you about the leaders and champions of the other side. Men like Tus, Kavuz, Gudars, and the famous Rostam. Identify for me everyone I point out to you. Those multicolored pavilion walls enclosing tents of leopard skin. 100 elephants are tethered in front of them, and beside the turquoise throne that stands there, in front of them, a banner rises emblazoned with the sun and topped with a golden moon. There, right in the center of the encampment. Whose place is that?" And Hejir replied, "That is the Iranian king's court, and there are lions as the elephants in there." Hejir is terrified of Sohrab because he knows he can properly kill him. Oh, look at my eyebrow. What is she doing? Sohrab went on. "Over to the right." My right. Your right would be this. My right is this one. where all the baggage and knights and elephants are. There is a black pavilion around which are countless ranks of soldiers. The banner there bears an elephant and its device, and there are gold-shod knights on guard before it. Who's that? Hejir answered, the banner embroidered with an elephant belongs to Tus, the son of Nozar. Do you remember Nozar? You've been here for a while if you do. And the red pavilion that so many knights are crowded round, where the banner shows a lion and a bear. Shows a lion and bears in its center a huge jewel. Who's that? The lion banner, Hejir replies, belongs to the great Gudars of the clan of Keshbud. And then the green pavilion, where all the infantry are standing, where the banner of Kaveh is. Oh, if you remember Kaveh, you've been here with me for a while, and for that I am proud. I'm very happy. Yeah, the Iranian Lannisters, definitely the Gudars is the Iranian Lannisters. Where the banner of Kaveh is, look, a resplendent throne shines there, and on it sits a hero whose head and shoulders are taller than all those who stand in front of him. A magnificent horse with a lariat slung across his saddle waits next to him and neighs towards its lord every now and again. The device on the banner there is of a dragon, and its staff is topped with a golden lion. For the best blacksmith, the best one that ever existed. But Shah, do you realize the best characters in this book are surrounded or very close to Fereydun's narrative arc? Is it a coincidence? Not for me. HBO should make a Game of Thrones-like series of this. Definitely. I condole this. I support this. I engage with this. I'm looking for a word, but it escapes my mind. I endorse this. And Team Cow does too. Who is this person with a banner with a dragon and a lion? Who could this possibly be? And Hejir answers, that's some lord from Tartary who's recently joined forces with the king. Sohrab asked the name of this new lord, but Hejir replied, I don't know his name. I was here in this fortress when he came to our king, so sorry, I don't know him. Sohrab was saddened in his heart because no trace of Rostam was to be seen, because the only thing Sohrab knows about his father is his name, but he has never seen Rostam. He questioned Hejir further, pointing out an encampment around a banner that bore the device of a wolf. Do you know who the wolf is? You don't know who the wolf is, but it is Give. I'll never be more than a wolf at your door for day now. I love Give. That belongs to the eldest and noblest of Gudar's sons. Give, Hejir said. And over toward where the sun is rising, there's a white pavilion thronged about with foot soldiers, their leader seated on a throne of teak, placed on an ivory pedestal, and he's surrounded by slaves. That is Prince Fariborz, the son of Kaikavus, because Kaikavus has sons and daughters, many of them actually. And the scarlet pavilion where the soldiers are standing round the entrance, where the red, yellow and purple banners are behind them, towards a taller banner bearing the device of a wild boar and topped with a golden moon. And that belongs to the lion-slaying Goraz of Giv's clan. Do you see? This is a very interesting part because the Shāh-nāmeh describes pretty well the emblems and the heraldics of the Iranian warriors. I hope Kabusadas are not hereditary. I'd better shut up about that one. And so Sohrab sought for some sign of his father, while the other hid from him what he longed to know. Once again he asked about the tall warrior beneath the green banner beside whom waited a noble horse bearing a coiled lariat. But Hejir answered, "If I don't tell you his name, it's because I don't know myself." "But this cannot be right," Sohrab said. "You've made no mention to Rostam. The greatest champion in the world could not stay hidden in this army camp. You said he was the foremost of the heroes, keeper of the country and ward of the marches." And Hejir says, "Perhaps this great warrior has gone to Zabolistan. For now, it is the time of the spring festival, so maybe he's not here." Sohrab answered, "Don't talk so foolishly. His king has led their forces into the field. If this world champion were to sit drinking and talking his ease at such time, everyone would laugh at him. If you point out Rostam to me, I will make you a wealthy and honored man. You will never want for anything again. But if you keep his whereabouts hidden from me, I'll sever your head from your shoulders. Now choose which it's to be." So you see, all of Rostam's major features appear to be hereditary, because Sohrab is brute and brutal. He is abrupt and brutal. He is impolite, he is impatient, and he is demanding. But in his heart and to himself, Hejir thought, "If I point out Rostam to this strong Turanian youth, who has such shoulders and who seats his horse so well, out of all our forces, it will be Rostam he will choose to fight against. With his massive strength and mighty frame." I hope, I'm sorry, I thought you wrote that again, no sé, but you see, Rostamadas are indeed hereditary. With his massive strength and mighty frame, he could well kill Rostam, and who from Iran would be able to avenge the hero's death? Then this Sohrab will seize Kaikavus's throne. Death with honor is better than aiding the enemy, and if Gudars and his clan are here to die, then I have no wish to live in Iran either. So, to Sohrab, Hejir replied, "Why are you so hasty and irritable? You talk of nothing about Rostam, and you talk of nothing but Rostam. It's not him you should try to fight with. He would prove a formidable opponent on the battlefield. You wouldn't be able to defeat him, and it would be no easy matter to capture him either." When Sohrab heard such slighting words, he turned his back on Hejir and hid his face. Then he turned and struck him with such violence that Hejir sprawled headlong in the dirt. And here, Butcher, is where we're going to stop. Thank you for joining this live reading session of the Shāh-nāmeh. I would have continued reading for a little bit longer, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I'm a bit tired, and we've sitting here for an hour, which is a solid time for to enjoy a live reading session. So thank you so much for coming. As always, I very much enjoy your company, and I hope you have enjoyed the Maximus Cabusada and the stupid fight between Rostam and Kaikavus. They look like lovebirds arguing and then returning together. Like, oh my god, this is the world's most ridiculous breakup, if you ask me. But thank you so much for joining me in today's live stream, and I hope you have indeed a wonderful weekend and rest of the week to yourselves. I said this already, but I won't be able to make a live stream next week, so we will continue on after that. Stay tuned to social media to find out what's coming next. And again, you can join our Telegram channel, our Discord server, and all that jazz. Thank you to my patrons, especially of those tier Murshid and Ashdod, because they are the reason I'm here, and they are so supportive and so lovely. Thank you, Bacha. You are just the best. It is always a pleasure listening to you. Thank you for sharing this with us. Oh, thank you. Can't wait for the next stream. Oh, what's this? Mamnoonam. Thank you so much. And I just wish for all of you a lovely rest of the week. And Bacha, remember to create, to explore, and to have a lot of fun. Until we see each other again, I shall bid you Khuda Hafiz.